I was asked to direct it. Kim Poster rang me up and said, would you like to direct The Importance of Being Earnest with David Suchet? Before I could breathe in, the answer had come to my lips, yes, immediately. It's a fantastic idea, fantastic play, fantastic actor. I was on. For my money, Oscar Wilde was a great modernist. He wasn't looking back to the Victorian period. He was looking forward to the 20th century. And he tells a story with The Importance of Being Earnest about 4 young people who fall passionately in love, who want to get married, and the obstacle is society. In this case, as represented by Lady Bracknell. Now, that's a contemporary story, and it's been told since Romeo and Juliet and is still told in 2015. The other big challenge, I think, in doing Oscar Wilde these days is the language, because I have no statistics on this, but I would imagine that the average length of a sentence in an American TV show is probably 4 words. I would imagine. I don't know, 5 words maybe. The average length of a sentence in an Oscar Wilde play is round about 17, 18 or 30 words. In other words, you've got to be able to handle the language. The actors have to be able to handle the language and thereby communicate the language to the audience. Once you get on that riff, once you jump on that horse, it's fantastically exciting. But it's a challenge. For me, one of the great joys of this production was working with this company of actors, led by David Suchet. One of the happiest companies of actors I've ever gathered around me in my life. One of the most creative, one of the most disciplined, and bluntly, one of the most talented. And it's tricky stuff, you see. It's led by David. David sets the standard. David sets the benchmark, not just in the execution of it, but in a way in the methodology, in the way of working. He carries with him a great sense of style and judgment about character. Oscar Wilde, of course, is known for the brilliance of his wit, but he was a foreigner in England, and he saw the English in a very acute way, like Sheridan, like Shaw, like Beckett. These foreign artists who sort of saw us and could see Stoppard. There's another one who could see our foibles, and of course that lasts. That accuracy of it's not full-blown satire, and it's affectionate, but it's got that little knife. It's got the little knife in the wit, which of course makes it very tingly and alive for a contemporary audience.
Well, it's not as easy as it might sound. The decision to play this role was, well, actually for me, it was hard come by because Kim, my producer, Kim Poster, knew that I was looking for a comedy. In fact, we'd been looking for a comedy for me for a very long time. I'd been in very heavy plays with her up until this point. And she came to me one day and she said, I've got the most wonderful comedy. And I said, well, tell me. And she said, The Importance of Being Earnest. I said, great, okay. I couldn't play Algernon or etc. and all the other roles. They're not for me. But what do you... Yeah, she said, but there is one major role. I said, well, who? She said, there's a lady. And I said, yeah. And she said, well, and I said, what? And from that moment, it took a little bit of persuading, I must say. And I think the final thing that really made me decide to have a go with this was the fact that Lady Bracknell had been played by other men before me. I was not going to be out on my own there, putting my head above the parapet that far. The process of rehearsal was a fascinating one because we latched on very early to the punctuation of Wilde's writing. And he uses full stops and commas very advisedly. And when I say that, if you observe them, you cannot go slowly. And we soon learned that by following his music, if you like, it gave it a certain speed, rhythm that lifted the play from pure naturalism or realism into a heightened reality that ultimately becomes farcical. For me, of course, it was the first time I had ever worn a rehearsal skirt and waited for boots with high heels and indeed made a serious request, can I wear a corset? It's a very strange feeling for me to be playing a female role. But you know, it's happening all the time. There are many actors that take female roles, and there are many actresses, if I'm allowed to use that word, that now play male roles. Fiona Shaw, famously Richard II. So it's beginning to happen in the theatre more and more. It doesn't alter the fact that it is a very strange and unfamiliar feeling. It doesn't come that easily to me. So therefore I had to work very hard in finding not only my own femininity, but allowing that to come forward, but how to move and behave and think as a lady. The thing that makes Wilde so popular is his wit. It's his epigram. It's his wonderful formation of lines that actually really do tickle you. And the Victorian audience, I mean, they had a terrific success on the first night on February the 14th, what we know as Valentine's Night, 1895. The audience absolutely loved it. And they were able to laugh at themselves, because theatre-going audiences those days were very much middle class, upper middle class, for a play like this. And they're the very people that he was satirising, and they adored it. They couldn't help but enjoy it because of his wit. And I'm absolutely thrilled when I look in the mirror. Every performance, before going on, I think, yeah, she's quite a girl.